Hey guys, what is up, and I welcome each and every one of you to a new League of Legends video. So this is a video I wanted to do for a few weeks now because, well, I mean, it's an assassin topic. I love talking about assassins, but this one in particular is very interesting. Because in most of my assassin videos, I tend to talk about ones that are already popular, the ones that people are playing a lot, and the ones that people probably want to know a bit more about just because of how strong or popular they currently are. Well, for this video, we're going to be switching up the pace. In fact, we're going to be talking about an assassin champion that is for the most part forgotten, someone you don't really see very often anymore. And I'm sure by now you have already guessed which champion we'll be talking about: Kassadin. Now, in order for a champion to be forgotten, that sort of implies that before they were actually very well known or they were very popular, and for Kassadin's sake, that is actually very true because Kassadin has definitely had his moments of being considered to be one of the best, if not the best mid laner in certain patches. He's had moments where he was a little bit weak, but you would still see him here and there. But as of the past few patches, you just simply do not see Kassadin anymore. I mean, at least I personally do not see him. And there are several reasons as to why that is, which we will discuss about in this video, talk about why exactly he's a forgotten champion, if you were to play him, maybe how it can potentially look like, and just for the most part have a discussion talking about this forgotten assassin. So the question of this video is going to be, what other champion do you believe is forgotten at the very moment? And if you end up enjoying this type of video, then let me know by hitting that like button. Alright, so why has Kassadin become a forgotten champion? Why does just simply no one ever play him? He's had so many moments where he was just considered to be insanely strong to the point where you would be terrified facing one in the mid lane. He was sort of a must pick or ban champion for a lot of patches before, but at the very moment you can almost even wonder, what is a Kassadin? You can clearly see right here that his pick rate isn't anything absolutely insane. In fact, it is quite low, but the games that he is getting picked is just not really going that well for him. I mean, he's not winning the games. His win ratio is very low as well, so not the best option at the very moment. Now, the reasons for this are as follows, or at least this is what I think. He's just simply not fit for the current meta. I mean, it just does not favor him whatsoever. To me, when I think Kassadin, I believe he's very strong against AP burst mid laners, so maybe someone like a LeBlanc. But, I mean, yeah, you can see LeBlanc every now and then, but let's be honest, LeBlanc isn't necessarily the most highly contested pick at the very moment. Because what kind of champions do you usually see in the mid lane? Well, you're seeing someone like a Vladimir, you're seeing someone like a Swain, a Nivea, or even Victor. Now, some people can probably argue that, you know what, Kassadin is probably very good against Victor, and usually that would be the case, but Victor, just how his kit currently is, and the buffs and overall the items and the meta, he's just a better champion at the very moment. Victor's laning phase just flat out outshines Kassadin, and the carry potential that Victor has on top of the CC he provides, and now the consistent damage coming out from all of his kit put together, is just not something Kassadin can match nor deal with. Anivia is just someone who outdamages Kassadin and just outpushes him, so Kassadin can't really roam to other lanes. He has to stay mid lane and he has to CS under tower pretty much the rest of the laning phase. And then you have champions like Swain and Vladimir, ones that Kassadin just can't really do anything about, because not only does he not have enough damage to abuse them in the earlier levels, which is usually where those two champions are at their weakest stage, but he can't really do anything about them even after level 6 because they'll just simply out-sustain him. He can't really burst them down because they do build a very AP tanky kind of build, and for the most part there's just really no answer or really no opportunity for Kassadin to try and get ahead, to try and snowball, because yes, he is an assassin and yes, he does need to snowball, because like any other assassin, he doesn't really bring that much wave clear. He is a melee champion, so he has to sort of dive in there and try doing something with his kits, and if he can't dive in there and kill someone, then he's useless. Why are you playing Kassadin? Because you're not going to be helping your team siege nor clear waves. And on top of all this, he just simply is not being touched by Riot. He's not getting any buffs whatsoever. He's just not getting help at all. He's just staying the way he is, and the meta is not favoring him. And until something drastically changes, until the mid lane is back to maybe some AP assassin type champions, or there's just more squishy champions across the map, he's not going to be a very viable option. But some might argue that the new Rod of Ages is perfect for Kassadin, and even though that's true, it just doesn't feel like it's enough. And like I said, Kassadin is an assassin, so what does that mean? If you get ahead, yeah, you will snowball, yeah, you will annihilate squishies, but that's not the issue. The issue is actually getting to the point where you're snowballed. or just simply getting fed. Now, the only way that'll happen at the very moment is if you just somehow severely outplay your opponent, or they just severely misplay or just don't play correctly. And or your jungler camps the hell out of your lane and you just get snowballed off of that. If this happens, then yeah, I mean, sure, you'll probably do pretty well that game, but that's not really something you should be relying on. I mean, you can't always rely on your jungle, and even if you're dual queue with them, and you can't rely on the enemy mistakes. That's just a very poor way to try and win a game. But let's take a quick look at the items that Kassadin, if you were to play him, would probably get, because after looking at these items, again, it just seems like, you know what, he's made for this meta. I mean, it's somewhat of a mage meta. There's a lot of AP champions running around, especially in the mid lane. So let's have a quick look. So not including the boots, I mean, these are some pretty good looking items for Kassadin. You want the Abyssal Scepter because, well, you are going to be usually in the aura range, so you'll be applying the debuff. It gives you indirectly more damage as well because of the MR reduction. It makes you tankier, which you do need. You are a melee type champion. Rod of Ages being an absolutely wonderful item for him, just for the same reasons that Abyssal Scepter is great. I also like the Proto Belt because it does give him CDR, gives him more tanky stats, and he can position himself quite nicely to activate the effect and hit as many bolts as possible on his foe. But then you have the little bit of a greedy option here with the Lich Bane. I mean, it works really well with his W, it adds a lot of extra burst damage, but again, it is a little bit more on the greedy end. Zhonya's is also quite a fantastic item, again for the same reasons. Abyssal and Rod of Ages are also very good. But there's of course other options, maybe Rabadon's Void Staff or whatever, but these are just kind of a rough idea of what kind of items you can expect to get when playing this champion. So after looking at all those items, doesn't it kind of make you feel, you know what, I mean, with those items and with the AP mages running around this patch, I feel like he could actually be pretty good. But it's one of those things where you think it's good, but then you try it out, you realize the meta that it's at and how Kassadin just kind of doesn't fit into it, and suddenly you're like, yeah, maybe never mind. It really does kind of suck. I mean, Kassadin is known to be the anti-mage type champion, yet in this somewhat mage-focused meta, he's just not very good, and it's, again, very awkward for the champion. If you were to receive some buffs, then yeah, I can definitely see Kassadin coming back and maybe becoming a popular pick once again, but the question stands, do we want that to happen? Is this something we want to happen in League of Legends? Do we want Kassadin to be a popular pick? Personally, the answer for me is no, I do not want that. Because I have experienced Kassadin when he was at his prime, when he was considered to be among the best champions in League of Legends. And believe me when I say it's not easy nor fun to play against him. It's very, very frustrating. You feel like you're about to die almost at any given time. And I don't know, I mean, it is kind of bummy that this champion is an assassin. I love playing assassins, but even though the meta seems like it should be good for him, it's just really not. But again, maybe that's not necessarily a bad thing. But that's about it for this video, guys. Just a quick sort of discussion video I've always wanted to talk about for several weeks now. Kassadin, the forgotten assassin. When will we see his return? When is he going to be back to his prime? That is a question that I cannot answer, but I'm sure someone at Riot is sitting there waiting for the day. But either way, guys, I hope you really did enjoy this discussion and a little bit of a guide format type of video talking about the forgotten assassin. It's a really interesting subject, I honestly think. So if you agree or if you did enjoy this video and want to see more like it, let me know by hitting that like button. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't. Check out my other channel as well for some Overwatch content and my other videos on this channel as well. But I truly thank each and every one of you for watching, and I hope to see you for the next video. Peace.